Yeah. Oh, I'm hanging in there. It's been a fun evening, but I'm looking forward to watching some Star Wars games and you know, seeing what enjoying the uh treat that we have to commentate on some of this stuff.
So
So,
I'm gonna pop into GEMP and just let people know we're live here in case anyone wants to watch.
yep, we got somebody else viewing. Unless it's you.
No, it is not me. So perfect. Well, we've got. I'm still showing 0 viewers. In
I got
well, good. We can. Can everybody hear myself and Robbie before we get started?
well no, I think it's just me again.
Oh wow, that's.
Eh.
I want to join. I want to log in. There we go.
Oops.
Um,
Yep, they can hear us, so we got a few people watching.
Perfect. So for some reason the chat is being goofy for me. I can see it, but I can't comment in it. So y'all are just going to hear me respond to chat here. So we got our first game here. This is actually one featuring Robbie, which will make for a good time. This is from the Grievous Gambit event a couple weeks back that my name showed up as having played in, but we're just not going to talk about my play at all in general. And I was very tired from going to a punk rock show the night before. So we've got a match here with Robbie playing Darkside against the infamous Tom as Lightside. So I'm going to kind of get it started. And Robbie, you can help and let us know when there's super interesting things to happen. And
Yeah,
we'll see what we've got.
One thing as we're starting this and just going through the starting stuff,
Right.
there were a bunch of interesting key moments in this game to me where I felt like, okay, I've got this plan, I need to do this, and then all of a sudden I had to change plans in the middle of it. So that's kind of why I wanted to showcase this game, because I thought it'd be interesting in that regard. Um, and you can see I go ahead and start 2 aliens here. I think when you're given a choice to start somebody with a lightsaber and Dr. E, it's always the right call to do so.
I think with bringing before me, yeah, you definitely that this is not a surprise start at all for me as you go and pull Emperor's Power.
Yep.
Solid opening hand, honestly. You got the Vader, you've got the Bridge Puller.
I've got Forlom.
Yeah.
I've got Tarkin's Bounty already.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this was a fantastic opening hand. I'm pretty sure, though, I missed my...
Emperor pull.
Yeah, I missed my Emperor pull.
Yeah, which actually might not be terrible because you couldn't afford the Emperor and Vader anyways.
Right.
So going just drop Emperor's Power, drop Vader, go fetch his lightsaber. Oh, you're going
actually, I think
that way.
Yeah, because I dropped Forlom. I wanted to get that going.
And start cycling right away.
Start cycling.
Not a terrible call either. Masterful move to go get that Gick and get the one out of your deck. That's the one thing on these replays. Things go really fast, so we might get some random pauses in here just while we catch up. And then move everybody.
I left Forlom there. I wanted to keep the tracking and stuff.
Yeah.
But I figured I would draw a card or two and activate for wipe.
Move them out to get the drain, activate with wipe. Pretty standard. I mean,
and you see, I got 2 Mauls, 2 Vaders, and Aura to play with. So, pretty insane hand for getting things going. And this is not Tom's... I don't think this is Tom's Spaceport Speeders version of this. I'm pretty sure it's him just playing the Careful Plannings to get a bunch of activation.
And I think it was Careful Plannings that I saw, because I played against this deck as well, but I did not play very well, and it ended pretty quickly against me. Yeah. So, he drops 3PO. Did he... I'm almost a little surprised he didn't try and fish a gift right away and just...
I don't know if he had a gift. I did not... I don't think he ever played it against me, so...
Yeah, and I can see that, but it definitely feels like a card you'd kind of want to,
Yeah.
you
And
know.
then you can see I used Forlom and even got Blizzard 4. So I think next turn what I'm going to do is drop Emperor and even Blizzard 4 for Vader.
Just to keep
And
the Vaders in hand in case you need them. And
yeah.
yeah, I
And
don't hate that plan, and you'll know if you have a Vader in reserve before
right.
you.
Yeah, because I got the Emperor on the bottom of the library from that turn. I think I even go ahead and pay to drain. So, the idea is I'm getting a ton of early pressure against them right now.
Yep, that went real quick, but it did look like you had a Vader's lightsaber in.
Yeah, I think I did. Because I'm pretty sure I went ahead and yeah, I do. So I grab Force Lightning, get to do the Force Lightning shenanigans to get free card draw,
Yep.
which is fantastic. And now look, I've got 3 Mauls and I'm about to get my third
Yeah, that's
Vader, I'm pretty
a
sure.
that's a pretty solid.
Like I said, I go ahead and drop Blizzard 4. And the main reason I did this was because Tom hadn't pulled the shield to make me pay 2. So it was like, okay, I can get a free Vader out of my deck and get 8 extra power onto the table.
Yeah, no, I don't hate that grab at all.
So, and maybe since he pulls it here, I'm wondering if maybe he did have a gift and he didn't find it or something. But I mean, he did take some. Oh no, he took advantage into his hand. That's right. So yeah, I don't think he was playing a gift. So, and I think this is a pretty good start for where I am, just because I've got a drain of 2, a drain of 3. I draw 2 destinies. I'm power 11 and 14. This is, I think, a really reasonable spot for me, if not great. Um, and I'm pretty sure
I
Tom.
apologize. I'm gonna go on mute here for a second. I gotta take care of something real quick.
Okay. So, and I think this is the turn Tom sets up to go ahead and flip Prophet this turn. I was thinking he was going to battle here, and I was kind of really hoping he was, just because, I think my position here is pretty good. But he ends up just moving over and setting up to retrieve. And so I was kind of confused why he dropped Luke where he did. But, that's what he chose to do. So now here, I suspect he's got, like, it's a trap, something defensive. What I would really like to do is find a accelerate to go get first strike. Just so I could stop whatever he's trying to do, potentially. And even attack in 2 places. Like, I really want to do accelerate into the first strike to do a battle against Kenobi and then a battle against Han and Luke, and drop Maul over there at Han's site. And I'm looking for that accelerate. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 copies of accelerate, and first strike was there. I'm trying to find it, so I'm like, all right, fine, I'll play Tarkin's bounty. And here Tom does a fantastic play of doing the altar to stop my Tarkin's bounty from taking effect.
Sorry about that. I'm back now.
So yeah, so he alters that, and then I don't get to search there for that, accelerate to pull the first strike. So
That wasn't very nice of him at all.
No. I go ahead and pull that just in case. I am playing a Sense. I don't have it, but I'm playing it. And I think I just go ahead and drop Maul. Or no, I actually
No,
go
you
ahead
have
and
to
save.
move. Yeah.
I just move.
Move Vader in front of Obi and
Yeah.
make things interesting here.
Yeah, because he's not going to battle me back here. And I'll just set up and see if I can't find the accelerate to accelerate into. And
I mean, I'll be honest, I would expect him to battle you here. If he's, like, I would expect to see Run Luke Run. And if he's got any power to drop with Kenobi.
Yeah, like, I mean, he could, but I've got Dr. E, and I've got 2 lightsabers.
Yeah.
So I could knock somebody out of battle pretty quick.
Yeah, it's not a great play for him, but he could also knock one of those lightsabers out.
Yeah, he could. I mean, I'm also power 22 and 2 battle destinies, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, he drains me over there. Or he causes profit and then drains me for 2. So I lose Kiara because she's whatever in this matchup. Go ahead and toss them all because I've got 3. I don't think I'll ever need 3 in this matchup.
That seems reasonable.
And I lose one from use pile, hoping it was, first strike or accelerate or something that I could grab.
And that didn't work that way. It looks like I see it went lightsaber parry.
Yeah. So
he moves Luke in. All right, so he's spreading to just get profit.
Yeah, he's just going to spread to get profit.
Yep.
Pulls ultimatum.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. And he saves a bunch of force. I'm still trying to find... There were 3 accelerates in my deck, so I'm still trying to find just 1. I'm whiffing. So,
yeah, that's painful.
Yeah. So I activate down to 4 because I figure he's going to cancel one of the battles. Go ahead and pay to drain because, gotta cause damage to win this game.
Yep. Yeah, with 4 saved, he's very likely sitting on an It's a Trap here.
Yeah, and he had 3 force saved last turn, which is what I was trying to achieve. And I didn't ever have the first strike, and so I was getting kind of annoyed with it.
Little surprised not to see Simalu.
I was trying to save some force to draw and do various things with it as I needed to. And I wanted to go ahead and grab the It's a Trap because I don't want him to try to retrieve it and do shenanigans. And also it's Tom. If you've played Tom's light side decks, he tends to play 2 or 3 It's a Traps at times.
Yep.
And then here's the careful planning to activate a bunch of force.
Yep, activate 5. Yeah, I don't hate the It's a Trap grab at all. Like, this is a deck that's going to run a few of them, and you need your battles to go through.
Yeah, and I also wanted my snipers to go through. And then, so he blasts the Door Kid, because I also couldn't find the BDC combo, or BDC in my deck.
Blast our controls, yeah.
Because I haven't drawn one of the 5 other accelerates in my deck yet, so...
Yeah, you've got answers, you just aren't seeing them right now.
Yeah, go ahead, and I get to draw Point Man, so I get to at least pick the best of these 2 cards. Neither one of them was the right
neither one of them is good.
So, I just go ahead and leave it. Pay maintenance. So, I mean, I still don't hate my position. He can drain me for 1 over at the farm.
2. Or no, that's Qui-Gon's Destiny 5 Saber. Yep. So, yeah, you lose 1. That's not a big... Not a big loss.
No, and I've got cards I can lose from my hand. And there's the Blast Door control that I lost off the top. So I could no escape that next turn. But I figure he probably doesn't have too many Blasted Orchids in his deck. I think he's more It's a Trap. So I'm not too concerned about getting that back.
That seems fairly reasonable. I don't think I would be running towards the... I think I'd worry more about being able to no escape something more important.
Yeah.
Well, that could be a sticky situation there.
I would be a lot more worried if I hadn't already had the Gick for forever in my hand.
Yeah.
So I'm not too concerned. My thinking is he can drop all he wants there. I'll get to battle. If he battles me, I'm going to be swinging and potentially clearing some stuff. Excuse me.
Yeah, you hit the tails just to get the forfeit 0, and then...
Yep. I'm drawing 2 destiny, so...
Yeah, you'll wipe potentially a couple things. He missed the swing.
No, he missed the shot with the...
yeah, shot.
And Maul is defense value 8 thanks to the Phantom Menace, so...
Yep. So that Talls is super hit.
Yeah, and that's the accelerate I want.
Yeah.
So... And I also have the Sith Fury, so if I need to take something to the hand, I can.
Yeah, and I don't... So, third just... I'm going to pause for a second, because I don't remember what Third Sister does. I remember her being kind of obnoxious against Obi, potentially.
Yeah, so...
Obi's not a general.
And if they leave your area... Like, I mean, it technically wouldn't... it wouldn't be the worst thing for me to grab here, right? Because I could stick her over there with Blizzard 4 and that whole mess... and then move that in front of Obi and Lando, and he's always going to run. He's not going to hang back there.
Yep, and you could move... You could put her and, like, just her and Blizzard 4, move the other guys for free, and force him to do stuff, but okay. That's... like I said, I wanted to look at her for a second, because you see her pop up, and she's an interesting card that you don't necessarily see play a lot of, so...
Yep.
I think in Bring Him Before Me, where she draws 2 Destiny effectively all the time, it's a solid... grab. Looks like he hit Maul there with the swing, so he's going to force that Gick out on
potentially.
You, I think.
I am going to draw 2 Destiny, so...
Yeah, and they'll both be +1, which is big.
Yeah, well...
But he's going to add 1 to total power with Luke, so...
Right. I'm a little surprised he didn't want to use Anakin's ability. Well, no, because
he knew you have the Gick. You pulled the Gick, so we both...
Yeah.
Everyone knew you had it. It's can he force you to use it here?
Right.
Ooh, not withdrawing a 1. Oh, there's the Jedi Lev on his hand.
But he only takes it into hand.
The 1. Yeah, but Chewie's pretty good to get into hand.
And he can Hera it, so it's not the worst.
Yeah, that's a solid. So and so he's got a 4. All right, so he's power 24 to your 9 plus 2 draws effectively, because the draws will each be +1. So. Yeah, he's gonna force that Gick out, but you're gonna kill some things.
There's another accelerate that I want. And
not an accelerate. That's a presence. You, like I say, you dump that back.
Yeah, I dumped it a while ago.
I hate dumping low destinies back with Forlum. Like I just feel wrong doing it. You didn't have a great option, but it just feels wrong.
Yeah.
So. You hit him for 9, so you're costing him 2 characters no matter what.
Yeah.
Which I think Hera was just there for forfeit fodder. Oh, advantage on Anakin. That's gonna...
Yeah. That becomes annoying.
Yeah, that's gonna get annoying quick. That's a card that sort of suddenly came back into vogue, and...
Yeah.
I gotta say, I kind of like it.
And I did mistakenly... I don't know if I mistakenly did. I didn't want that low destiny of the presence in my deck, so I just lost it before them all.
I don't hate that either.
I didn't need to, but I did not want it. And here I draw Dooku, and a little foreshadowing. That Dooku draw ends up winning me this game by far.
I can see that because Dooku could get real good on here.
And I'm still looking for accelerate, first strike, any of that stuff, because I know that's going to put Tom back a little bit by me drawing first strike and forcing him to lose force, and I get to retrieve.
Yeah. Well, I'm forcing him to... activating 13 is good, but it's not a ton.
No.
So it forces him to have to save a bunch of force, although he does get to careful planning, and you get the drain of 3 in there because he
doesn't have
ultimatum.
So, and he's only draining me back for 2 and 1, and causing 2 damage with profit. So
yeah,
I'm doing 5, he's doing 5, so we're tied right now in damage.
Yep.
So I don't remember why I dropped Dooku there. I
think just because Aura alone feels
kind of
bad.
Yeah, and I didn't really... I don't think I wanted to drop him over at the other site yet, but I'm pretty sure next turn I'll move him over there because I'm thinking, okay, I've got Force Push that he can pull
And Force Lightning.
And Force Lightning, so that he can use. So, oh, and I did forget the advantage damage. So he's actually ahead in that race right now.
Yeah,
so
the advantage
I'm forced
is
to do something.
I saw you lost the sim. I don't love that simply because throwing him with Palpatine is an automatic +1 to your total battle destiny all the time.
Yeah, no. So
I really like him.
The way I'm looking at this game is I'm activating 13 + 1. That's not a lot of force. So and
he's not free,
and he's not free, and I'm paying to drain a lot. Like, if I was going to deploy Sim, last turn would have been the time to do it. And instead I did Dooku instead. So
yeah, I see that. I don't love that play. I will say, like, I would have done Sim over Dooku and just risked that one turn.
So Tom actually used Seeking to check his deck and found R2 in there, so he had to deploy R2.
And can only deploy it there because of the flip side of profit in game text that no one ever uses.
Correct. So
I like that. So
I go ahead and play Force Lightning to put a card back because I used Forlom for something, I'm pretty sure already.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm going to use Forlom for the other 5 in my hand.
Yeah.
And then now I draw the Accelerate, but
now I'm just
going to put
not as good.
Another one, yeah.
Yeah. Now it's not as good. You're not in the position to start battles right now. Although you've got to do something to get rid of Anakin there.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is I got to do something to get rid of Anakin. And now we're getting to the point where Tom wanted to revert for some reason. So.
Revert that hopefully doesn't break the replay. There we go. Looks like
he wanted to
shuffled you right away.
Yeah. Which is
Tom
fair.
playing the anti-Tom card there.
Yeah.
So
I go ahead and take the Force Lightning into hand then, because I was using it to track to. I was actually going to do something battles that turn with probably Maul or something. So might as well not go ahead and do that now. Just activate everything. Pay to drain.
Yeah.
So we're getting a little bit low.
Yeah, you're both just grinding out force.
Right, and my plan was to get that first strike on the table and go nuts, but that obviously has changed, and this Maul has been sitting in my hand trying to be able to use it, and I just haven't had an amazing spot to really drop him.
Yeah, and Kylo coming down.
So I dropped Kylo.
I don't hate that.
Well, actually,
you meant to go to the site in front of Anakin, I'm betting?
I think that's where I wanted to put him.
Yep. Tom being a good guy, allowing the revert, but yeah, I'd assume you meant to put him in front of Anakin.
It might have just broken the...
Yeah, I think it might have just broken the replay. Alright, so...
see if you can't get it to play. If not, then... which I hadn't actually checked beforehand.
Let's see what happens if we just refresh it and...
it'll start you over.
Yeah.
So...
okay, so...
just in case we can't get...
we're just going to fast forward as quick as we can here and see if it comes back, but sometimes replays do break. Or reverts do break replays sometimes. That's an unfortunately known thing. And we'll see what we can get.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure... I can't remember what I did there as far as where Kylo went. I know... I'm pretty sure that's the turn I moved Dooku over in front of his disaster pile because I can Force Lightning, and I've got 5s everywhere to Force Lightning Luke, and then I can Force Push out of the battle if I need to. With Dooku as well.
And that would make sense. And yeah, my guess is you may have put Kylo there and Dooku just to...
well, I'm
threaten it, well, then you can't force push out of it. So that'd be, well, you can. You'd just force. You'd end up with like Kylo alone against Anakin probably.
and Han. Well, Han was there too. So
yeah, but if you Force Lightning Luke, then you Force Push out. Actually, you could end up with Kylo alone against Han. Because you push out Anakin because he's lower ability than Dooku. And that could end poorly if Tom walked into that.
Well, and he does not walk into it. He ends up moving away. And so he moves away Han first because I've got Force Lightning, and so I don't want to. He wants me to Force Lightning in the battle phase, obviously, because if I do it, then he knows Dooku is not immune, and so he can make a decent battle if he wanted to.
Yep.
I don't want to do it in battle, and honestly, I don't really care if Han's on the table because Han is a liability for him more than it is a threat to me. Anakin's a threat to me with the advantage on him and the saber. So that's what I need to get rid of more than anything.
Definitely. Anakin with advantage needs to die.
Yeah,
and
so
Tom's got to figure out a way to keep him alive there, which I'm assuming was moving him and then running into a mall potentially at some point.
Potentially, I can't remember my thinking the way the game went. From my remembering of the way the game went, I played Force Lightning on his turn on, I'm pretty sure Luke, and then I escaped the Force Lightning, and I think I just Force Lightning Anakin, to be honest.
If you've got the...
I'm pretty sure I tracked the 7
around. You got the 7 tracked, then you just Force Lightning him and end it, and then Dooku was definitely your MVP that game.
Because I'm pretty sure I think I Force Lightning so many, like 2 or 3 times in this game, and it was just brutal for Tom.
So we're gonna just give up on if that game worked, but we're gonna go to...
I apologize that broke.
That happens. I'm sure it was not intentional. So we're gonna try a different game here. This was... I can't pull it up. This is one that Dan Tartaglione of Holotheatre fame sent us. So even though Dan couldn't join us tonight and is taking
still on the screen,
well-deserved break, we're still going to have him here and still, say mean things about him because that's what we do. So this is Dan sent me this game. It is Dan playing Battle for Geonosis Clones versus Matthew Harrison Trainer, MHT, playing Imperial Entanglements, and Dan specifically said I'm supposed to mention while I get stuff set up that Imperial Entanglements is his least favorite deck to face ever, and he hates it in all forms, and played against Steve Harpster at an MPC a few years ago where Steve intentionally brought it just because he put Dan on your favorite deck, WAP. We have a plan, and smoked him because...
Which is weird because WAP and IE kind of... I mean, I watched in that same MVC probably Chew crush people with WAP against IE, so...
I think that's a match that just, if your deck is tuned to handle IE, your WAP can do well against it. If you're not ready for it, it can do real bad things. So here's MHT getting stuff going, dropping a couple sites, dropping his docking bay, dropping Enforcement, which is a really good card, and Tentacle. Oh, that's nice. That's really good, especially since, Dan's got probably both his generals in hand already. I see the 2 Kenobis in hand, and he didn't play the leadership.
Yeah.
So...
Which is fine, because that does help him get through various things. Of course, MHT is going to have... I don't think the light side deck plays any space, but if it does, MHT's got a fully immune Devastator now.
Yeah, if he plays space, I don't think he's got enough to do anything.
Not now. To
that Devastator, and that's going to be difficult to crack. This will be interesting simply because I expect this to kind of be a bunch of weenies for both sides. Like MHT, I've played against a version of this deck. MHT was playing clones, or playing a bunch of troopers, and some of those troopers are pretty darn good.
Yeah. One interesting thing to note, too, from Dan is he didn't play one of the 2 starting effects for the clones, right? Like, this is Genosis, so he didn't start the effect for Battle for Genosis. He started 3 other effects.
Yeah, and I mean, he started Security Control, which is
fantastic card.
Really good. In fact, here, we'll pause for a second and pull that up. So Security Control, which is amazing because the Republic characters are forfeit +1, which is nice. The stopping your clones' game text can't be canceled, which is huge against, like, Vader Enforcer.
Yeah.
And you can just go fetch an Episode 1 weapon of any kind. Like, so he's all in on weapons because he's got a good blaster at your side. Yep. And he's got superficial. And you saw Anakin's rocking a blaster rifle right now, which is definitely not the expected. You know, when you see Anakin on table, a blaster rifle is not what you expect him to be holding. But
no, but in all honesty, looking across IE, this is what I would rather do because you're not, you know, like, you need to be able to do some damage to them. So getting a good blaster going and a drain of 1 really quick, and then you can flip your objective. And, you know, he's still got 9 cards in hand, activating 11. So MHT does have to be a little bit careful with his.
MHT got a solid combo going there. So he's got the 2 Biker Scouts.
Yep.
At Mos Eisley, he's got the 2 Death Star Troopers at the Jawa camp, and he's got dude on the dewback. So that's a quick flip, and he's still got 5 cards in hand. Like, next turn he's going to be getting, you know, one of his top 3. Like, yeah, that's a really good start for MHT here.
It definitely is. I mean, that he actually flipped in enough to where he's fairly safe, and he's got a good setup.
Yeah, like, his next turn. None of those are great
things to attack.
Spots for Dan to attack right now. Like, I guess you could go after Barrich with Cody to cancel the Battle Destiny. And
I mean, you could have also.
I guess going after the guy on the dewback doesn't hurt, and throw the blaster rifle on Kenobi.
And Obi can pull Rex if he wanted to, or another clone.
Yeah, he's not doing that right now, which is a little bit of a surprise. So he's shooting at the dewback with top. I like that, just because I like the idea of shooting at a dewback. There's Ayla, not going to add one to that. That's a whiff.
Yep, still would have been a whiff.
Kenobi shooting just at the trooper, because I don't think the blaster rifle will target creature vehicles. And
I guess he adds 1 to hit.
Yeah, he adds 1, I think, because he's got to add the 1 to hit, because he's armor 4.
4, yeah.
So that's good, but, like, it doesn't make that much of a difference, because when you lose him, you're losing the dewback anyways. Right. So, like, being immune to attrition. So there's a Rex that Dan might be kicking himself for not going to grab.
Although now he knows he can. Yeah.
Yeah, like, that was big.
Yeah, that was a big draw.
That's. Yeah, I guess Cody, he would have needed a second clone anyway, so he couldn't have dropped Cody.
He could have pulled Rex and dropped Cody and Rex together, and then it would have worked.
Yeah. So, but he can superficial the blaster for 3 and then just lose top, and he's okay there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't hate Kenobi sitting there.
Yeah.
If it was Jedi Live, he might not have minded. Getting his sight up. So, I mean, MHT's in a really good position here, but I don't hate Dan's right now.
No, and I mean, he pulls Rex now.
Yeah, so and Rex plus Cody is still good.
And he's got an Unita in case the 1 card on top ends up being something worthwhile.
Yeah.
And if MHT attacks, then he's got the Rebel leadership to add a Destiny if he needs to, or limit, and he's got a Hoosier. So, I mean, Dan's not...
Yeah, Dan's not in a bad position at all. It's just I'm not sure Dan's getting enough. I'd be concerned Dan might not get enough damage going through, especially with the Tatooine occupation coming down now.
Which doesn't deploy on Tatooine.
Yep, it deploys on table now. And that's
a pretty good battle.
That's a solid spot to be in. So he's going to add a Destiny, and then
I would assume
Rebel leadership to limit. And that gets stacked, which is fine.
Yep.
So there's that 6 again.
So Obi's gone now.
Yep, Obi's dying either way. And that was the one where I almost would have considered just doing the draw 2 and response, although because MHT is not going to just leave one of them alone. So like if you just take the draw 2 and all you got to do is clear,
right?
Now total of 8 to kill both of them.
Yeah, and he lost the battle, so now the effect gets put back.
Yep, which is bad for him as well. I mean, I think he loses the battle either way. Like if he draws 2 and MHT draws 2, I think MHT is ahead there.
Maybe.
So MHT does not move Tarkin.
He draws a Battle Destiny.
Yeah, but that doesn't feel like enough. I don't like.
Hold on. Pause the game. Pause it. This is,
right.
Our buddy Dan, who never lets Joe Olson live down that he didn't pull aim high in Texas Mini Worlds 14 years ago against Kessling and let him retrieve troopers. Dan does not pull aim high and let MHT retrieve a trooper for free. So I just wanted to point that out.
I mean, like, on the one hand, I'd feel bad about teasing Dan because he's not here to defend himself, and he did send us the game to review.
He might have forgotten
because it was interesting things to, this was interesting. This is 2 new deck types.
Yeah.
But, like, come on, Dan.
Especially with 3 shield pools open. So I just wanted to throw it out there for Joe Olson's sake that Dan has lost his right to make fun of the aim high now.
And I mean, Joe's only got 2 world championships, so he definitely needs defending.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Joe forgets things, but so does Dan, and I think that makes them equal now.
Things. Yeah, I mean, we all forget things, but
in a game this complicated, it's not if you forget things, it's can you forget less things than your opponent.
Right.
And sometimes that just happens. So I see that Dan still has not pulled aim high, which
Dan's thinking I got Rex and Cody to attack with.
I don't love putting them there simply because that's the site MHT's getting 2 Destiny at.
Yeah, I think I would have dropped them against Tarkin.
I would have either just swept up Tarkin or I'd have gone at the troopers. All right, so we'll give Dan a little bit of credit. Maybe he knew what he was doing here.
He wants to battle twice.
Yeah, wants to battle twice and win it and get his stuff back. Unita to grab a clone.
No, it's grabbing Obi.
Oh, that's Obi. Oh, yeah, that's Obi. It's not a clone. All right, so if MHT draws the 6, he gets the clone. He's got the Obi, and MHT will very likely draw the 6.
Or 7.
Sneak attack going through. I've played against this deck, and I don't think MHT had 7s. He just had a bunch of 6s.
Yeah.
He had a lot of masterful moves, which was solid.
Yeah.
So he's going to get the hit.
And honestly, Dan should probably go ahead and maybe play the Biz Shuffle after the sneak attack.
Yeah, that would have been a solid play to play right now. Let's see if Dan
he
thinks
can swing
about that.
First. Yeah.
Yeah, the swing first is fine. He activates one with Kenobi and does not with Shuffle, which would have been a real strong play with that sneak attack. So that's unfortunate. Doesn't use Jedi Lev to get the 5s, which
it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. And there's a 6. So Dan's, I'm sure if he's listening to this, is also, kicking himself for so many things right now. And he just forfeits Kenobi instead of superficialing he can't superficial
lightsabers. Yeah.
I was thinking it was unique for some reason, but no, it's just straight lightsabers. So.
Yep.
I mean, he wiped out Tarkin, which is cute. Battling there, the Stormtrooper patrol as a react is strong, and there's the Trooper assault, which means he'll take out maybe one guy with the hit. I mean, Rex will hit somebody, probably, but
yeah, and he can cancel one of the destinies. It's not fantastic. You should probably Jedi Live that into hand.
Yeah,
and he does.
All right, so we'll give Dan credit. He did that one. We like that play.
Yep, that play was good.
That doesn't help him either, though. So he's still going to miss the shot. I don't like the spot Dan's in right here.
No, I liked his position a lot earlier, but
yeah.
And the really annoying part for Dan too is he hasn't had a non-unique clone go into his lost pile.
No, he hasn't.
He's only had unique clones.
Yeah, so he's going to cancel that 5, which I think is right. I mean,
yeah.
If he draws a 6, he draws a 6, and you can't do much about it. I still don't like him battling there instead of going at the... I think going at the Scout Troopers would have been the better spot.
I agree.
Simply because you're not facing the 2 Battle Destiny. Like, you just face one.
Stop the Battle Destiny.
Yeah. Like, you give up the Barrich that you're hoping to hit the shot on him.
Right, because, I mean, look at that battle. He did 0. He paid 7 and put 2 cards in the lost pile.
Yeah, that was not what he wanted to do. And, yeah, he still... Oh, he got
one now.
1 there. But that's a slow burn. Does he get? There goes aim high. All right. He probably, Joe might have sent him a message.
Yeah.
Told him to,
pull that aim high.
Pull that aim, aim high can be played here. So.
Aim high is pretty good, right?
It's a solid shield. I've heard people play it, not at NPCs, but like,
Yeah.
Or Texas Mini Worlds. So, but, it's a good spot. So. I think aim high is something you should expect people to play at Worlds, which starts a month from yesterday, I think. We're within a month of
correct.
Worlds coming into play here in Morristown, New Jersey. We got a retro event, a cube event, and the team event on Friday.
Yep.
Main event on Saturday.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, that's going to start to sting real quick, because I'm assuming he'll just move all the troopers. Or he'll move the patrol and those 2 to the waist. Goes and grabs a speeder bike. Ooh. A reacting speeder bike with Barrich and Oberk, or Barrich and Averick on there is...
not a good thing.
going to be nasty. Like, I think he might have just locked up Tatooine.
Yeah, and I mean... MHD just did 7 damage that turn.
Yep, and
6 damage.
Set up to do a whole bunch more.
Yep.
Which is not good for Dan at all, as Dan's right now set up to do 2.
Right.
And it's 2 he's got to pay for.
He can get 1 for free.
Yeah. So he does 1 and does 1 for free. That's not a...
No.
I don't think you win the race that way.
Not against an occupation deck. But of course he's paying to drain. I guess he just really wants to flip here, which makes sense.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't...
But...
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to do something, and... I mean, he can drop Mace, and Mace is good.
I will say, I think, having watched this, had he Bith shuffled that sneak attack 6, and been able to keep Obi-Wan... this game might have gotten real interesting.
Yeah.
Like, Obi with a saber there is a threat, and
right.
Matt has to do something against it.
Yeah.
Versus Matt being able to just spread because Dan didn't kill anyone. Like,
yeah.
So Dan can take that into hand, which doesn't really help him, and retrieve a card. Matt played Secret Plans right away. See, you play that shield before someone retrieves. If Dan's watching us right now, he is screaming at you and me, So, and here's the speeder bike reacting with Barrich and Averick to make things go really badly.
Yeah.
And another reacting
patrol.
Stormtrooper patrol. Are we
Trooper
going to
assault.
see another Trooper assault as well?
Yep.
We are. He's going to pay 2 for the Trooper assault. So,
Oh, this is brutal.
This is not going to end well for Dan, I don't think. Like, why are you shooting the speeder bike? You shoot Barrich.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I mean, you hit him, but, like, Barrich is the...
Reacting with the speeder bike isn't as powerful without Barrich.
Yeah, like, I mean, I get that MHT can get Barrich back and eventually get him back into hand with send a detachment down, but, like, 2 turns of Barrich not being able to run around with the speeder bike is way better, because now he's going to subtract from that, and you're going to lose Mace, at least. And, like, Dan started this battle. I think you can't lose just Mace. You've got to lose Mace and the Trooper, and...
Yeah.
They just went and grabbed Sergeant Tarl. So you know Matt's got at least 1 Trooper to come down with. And he's subtracting 3, so he's going to have an attrition of 2. But, so it's 24-12. Yeah, Dan's losing everybody, and he loses the effect again.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
not thinking this is looking very good for Dan.
I don't think Dan's in the position he wants to be here, and I'm...
I mean, he losing 4 overflow to keep Mace is... Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, and I'm honestly, I don't... Dan conceded, which doesn't shock me at all. That was...
He really lost that
match.
It is, but he really lost that game when he went after those 2 troopers instead of, with Rex and Cody. Like, I mean, I suspect Dan's thinking, okay, if he left Tarkin there, he's gonna have a Gick of some sort. So I don't need to go all in against Tarkin. But like you said, I would have gone to Barrich and the other biker scout, shot Barrich with Rex, and then canceled his 1 destiny draw versus having to cancel one of the 2.
And I think I would have gone the other way. I think I would have gone Rex and Cody on top of Tarkin. Because they're both ability 3, correct?
Yes.
So you get the Judland Waste ability 6.
Right.
So, in fact, here, let's check that just because I want to be sure. Rex, I know, is ability 3. Cody might only be 2. So
I think Cody might be 2.
Okay,
yeah, Cody is 2.
If Cody's 2, then we can't, then... Because that would have been the play, is just send them at Tarkin.
Right.
And honestly, I might have still done that. Like, send them both at Tarkin, you cancel his destiny, you outpower him by a couple at least, you take the chance to shoot him.
4.
Yeah. And you still have a chance to shoot him.
Right.
And then
you're canceling his draw.
Yeah. And you put Obi at the site with Barrich. With the lightsaber, you battle there. You kill Barrich for sure. And then you can move a trooper over. Like, if you end up, for whatever reason, you either don't clear the site, or you end up needing to lose Rex or Cody because he does something goofy.
Yeah.
You still cost him Tarkin probably, and then you just move them over with Obi, or you move Obi over to them and keep more power.
I mean, it also...
Losing that foothold was huge.
It might also been to his benefit to just drop all 3 on Barrich.
Yeah.
And just ignore the Tarkin, because MHD had Trooper Assault and the Patrol. So if you drop all 3, you know you're going to clear out the 2 other guys, and it's a Patrol left or something.
Maybe. Like, if you drop all 3 there, you're hoping to shoot 2 of them, and then you leave the Patrol...
You're drawing 2 Destiny with Rex against a ability 2 guy in either Barrich or the other troop biker scout. You should be able to hit them with 2 draws.
Yeah, you would think. You should be able to hit them with 2 draws, and then you're... and that was the thing, is his bad luck with that draw. Like, I understand taking Mace into hand to give you somebody to go with, but I almost wonder if he wouldn't have been better just canceling the Mace draw and making sure he hit one of those troopers.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I
that
mean,
would have been...
he did very little to get anything off the board in a game where he's got blaster rifles and lightsabers to be doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
he needed to be killing more than one trooper a turn.
Yes.
To put MHT on a clock, and he needed to be going, like... I'll be honest, I don't necessarily love Anakin not going to Tatooine to start.
I agree.
Like, I think, especially with the opening hand,
he's one of your best characters.
You put Anakin on Tatooine, and you just start with, okay, I'm going to have a sight. Like, I'm going to make it, try and make it harder. Like, MHT is still going to flip when he flipped, but, like, I'm going to take your sights because you have to go after him. Like,
right.
This clones deck doesn't do well. You can't win a race just ignoring...
No.
IE. Like, you can't win a race ignoring anybody. You don't do enough damage, even with the cute gun things and stuff are just not enough to...
No, but Anakin is a very powerful character in your deck. Like, he's probably one of the best characters in this deck. So to leave him stranded over there and do nothing but ping 1, that hurt.
Yeah.
So, I think with IE... if you can do multiple attacks at sites, you can, but you got to know stormtrooper patrols, trooper assaults, things like that are going to be coming, and you can't just drop, Mace against a guy and watch it work out. I mean, you got to drop, multiple things, and
you've got to drop enough things to cost him multiple guys and survive.
Right. That's why, like I said, I think. That turn he battled the 2 battles, once against the Death Troopers and the other against the Dewback guy, Tarkin, I just would have thrown everything on Barrich. Like Barrich is that annoying to you, you need to get rid of him. So let's throw Obi with lightsaber, let's throw Rex, let's throw Cody. He's going to have a patrol that he drops and a trooper assault. So all his guys are immune. But you're going to hit Barrich, you're going to hit somebody else with Rex, and... you get your destiny, he loses his, and then he can draw to reduce your attrition and power. But your power 12 to his for 8, probably 13, I guess, on his end before destiny.
You might lose a force or two, but
you're clearing. You're
clearing that site. You're locking up a drain 2 site. Actually, you couldn't have targeted with blasters.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even know that
would have been... I was just checking to see if it was drain -1. I'm like, I don't think it was. So,
but you're
still swinging and killing Barrich, and, like, yes, he can go get Barrich back, but it takes time.
But, okay, so instead of doing that, then you drop Obi there, swing and hit Barrich, get rid of Barrich. You're probably going to have to Hoojix that battle. And then you go to the one with Cody and... Rex against Tarkin. You're not drawing destiny, neither is he. If he wants to, waste his time on that, or he may not even drop the patrol against Obi, he may drop it there instead,
Yeah, like, I almost think, now that, seeing he couldn't have shot with the blaster against Barrich, I almost wonder if the play might have been to make MHT prove the Gick.
Yeah. Could have been.
And just drop all 3 of them on top of Tarkin, and if you have a Gick, you're going to, survive this. If not, you won't, but then you drop them, you clear Tarkin, you move over to the landing site for the Drain 2.
Yep.
And you start pounding damage, and especially if you'd had Anakin down on Tatooine before, like, part of it is you have to stop MHT from being able to move around.
Right.
Like, you can't let him spread because he's got to defend with 2 guys. And frankly, your deck, if you can keep flipped, you retrieve a little better than he does.
Yep.
Because you're retrieving your clones with the cloning cylinder and you're retrieving when you start the battle. Like, I don't think it's an unwinnable match for clones. I do think IE's favored simply because they're going to get battle order and free drains.
Right. And they're uncontested in space.
You can't stop that.
Yeah. And honestly, it may have been in Dan's best interest too to not drop Anakin and get that damage rolling. It might have been better just to draw a few and save a bunch of force because you know MHT is going to try to flip turn 2. And so if you've got enough, because like Dan never had any of his trooper assaults essentially,
Yeah.
whereas MHT had all his.
Dan didn't get anything going early.
No, he was throwing force and throwing guys at places, and nothing was sticking against the wall.
Yeah.
And that's a surefire way to lose that Star Wars.
Because second turn, he could have just dropped Anakin on Tatooine as well.
Yeah.
Like, if he would have done the drop Anakin, drop Obi, battle, clear one site, and then consolidate them together.
Yeah.
That's not bad. And then next turn, you drop a couple clones, split them out, and you've got to take over Tatooine. Like, that's the...
Yeah.
That's the clones deck in a nutshell, is you have to be able to take over what your opponent is doing, because you're not that scary if you don't.
Right. I mean, you like Dan's like the good blaster part of this makes you think that okay, I can do damage over here by paying to drain with lightsabers and all that, but you're not outracing anybody, really.
Yeah.
You're not going to outrace IE. You're not, because you're never getting free drains if you do that. You're not outracing, a lot of decks that do this, and so
it's Shadow Collective for light side. You're not.
Yeah, and so I don't think the good blaster's the right start, because you didn't really always start it in Shadow Collective. Sometimes you started other things.
See, I don't hate the good blaster start if he had been more aggressive with trying to take Tatooine. Yeah, like the good blaster start, even if you're not paying to drain and you're just steady pinging that damage, if you can steady ping 2 or 3 damage that way and spread on Tatooine and actually, take Tatooine sites from IE.
Sure.
I think that's how you win.
But if you're already taking IE sites, I think you're already winning, so a good blasters just win more. And to me, that's something you float in your deck and you start another effect that has value.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else Dan had, but I mean, something like if Dan has first strike, I mean, MHT's now not being able to draw as much because every time he plays an it's going to cost him a force. He's got to save to react. He's got to save
first
to
strike is Draw the fire. Draw the fire would be a terrible start against this deck. MHT will just... At that point, MHT might not even worry about the flip and just wait for you to deploy and then use those troopers offensively.
And that's fine. If you
that put you in a position where you can't battle back. Like, that would scare me if he's, just says, fine, I'm going to, instead of...
But I think the clones deck can hang with that. I don't think the clones... I mean, the little bit I've seen of the clones was from Minnesota States. I saw somebody playing it on there, and they were battling like crazy, and with superficial damage, you can soak up damage and all sorts of things. I'm not as worried about the aggression part. I just didn't see a way for them to handle something doing 7 of damage a turn in the control phase. And
they can't. And
so if one card makes my opponent completely change the way they play to kill me to something else that might not be as effective, I'm willing to take that chance if that's what I need to do.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said,
and Draw Their Fire was just one thing. I mean, he could have played, any other of effects to help out here. I don't
know what else he was running, and I hate starting Draw Their Fire. I hate putting it in play early, especially against a deck that's perfectly content to play more reactive and just drop tons of troopers and power on you and play that game.
Like I said, if he's doing that, then he's not causing occupation damage and he's not draining as much. And that is perfectly fine. Now, it does let MHT drop something and then you battle into him and then he can react and get a retrieval out of it and cause damage. But again, that's a game I think the clone deck can win. The game we saw, the clone deck can't win. So you've got to do something else. And
I think we're in agreement. The clone deck can't win by ignoring Tatooine. So the Anakin...
Right.
The Anakin play was kind of the crystal with Star Wars that happens where you aren't going to win a game on turn 1.
Right.
Like, there's no play you can make on turn 1 that's like, well, this guarantees me the win. You can absolutely lose a game very early and not realize it. And that Anakin play, in retrospect, was you lost this game before it even started, because Matt's not going to go to Geonosis at all.
No, he's going to leave your best character sitting there.
And he will, he's super happy that Anakin is not coming to battle him and instead sitting at a Drain 1 site, functionally worthless.
Damage. Yeah.
Yeah, like...
And it took away a blaster rifle that could be used defensively against your low defense value troopers.
Yeah.
And it's one of the only ways of removal of the troopers when you have trooper assault. Having blasters to be able to fire is a surefire way of getting rid of those guys.
Yep, shooting those blasters would have been huge. Honestly, I also think had he shuffled after that sneak attack...
That's what I was going to bring up too. Like,
that
the Anakin play...
Huge.
The Biff shuffle. I mean, Matt's playing a bunch of 6s with masterful moves and burst, right? Yeah. Like, he could still have easily redrawn a 6. But you put that into the luck hands instead of he just sneak attacked. I'm pretty sure he put a 6 on top.
Yeah.
Let's at least see if I can't get lucky and not have him draw a 6. Because if he draws like a 3 or a 4, you're keeping Obi on the table. That's great.
Yep, and keeping Obi there with that saber is a threat.
Yeah.
Like, that becomes how do you respond to that?
Yeah, because that makes MHT respond in some way. And he can't respond with Barrich, because Barrich is already on the table. Tarkin's now gone, so he has to come up... they might have another Tarkin. He obviously
but counting on reacts isn't always perfect, as I'm assuming this deck is running First Aid to cancel that react, so, like, MHT can't be... He's got to have a GIC as well, because he can't be 100% sure that the react goes through, so you can't just,
And, well, I was just thinking, what can MHT do offensively against a Obi there when Barrich is on the table? I mean, he has Darth Vader, because we saw him take into a hand from one of the draws.
Yeah,
so he's got Vader.
Darth Vader. I think he's...
But, I mean, he drew, the turn after Obi was lost, he played a speeder bike, Kirkanos, and a trooper.
And because he spread. Well, he played the Kirkanos, the speeder bike, and the
trooper that got hit.
Patrol.
No, the patrol was already there from the Death Star mistake battle.
Oh yeah, he just moved the Stormtrooper Patrol.
He moved over. Yeah.
I think he played the third Biker Scout Trooper. He played Averick.
Yeah, he played whatever the other one, the other Biker Scout.
And the bike.
And then he either drew or already had another Stormtrooper Patrol that he reacted into this battle with. So
he reacted with the Stormtrooper Patrol this battle, because you're right, he wouldn't have been able to come at Obi offensively all that effectively.
No.
He had the Trooper Assault. Like, theoretically, you can send a detachment down, you drop Averick, who's only ability 1, and get another Trooper and just try and go at him, but, like, it's not a great...
No.
Great spot to be in, and
no, I think that's a chance for Dan to get it back into the game.
Yeah, although honestly, I think MHT just ignores it. Like, if all he's got is Obi at that site, MHT can do the same thing we're talking about with Anakin, where he can be like, all right, well, fine, you have that site. I'm gonna let Obi have that site. I'm gonna move around Obi until you can come down with a second site, and that's where he needed that Anakin.
Right. But Dan, at that point, if MHT is ignoring Obi like that, then Dan has got half of what he needs to get back into the game by controlling one Tatooine site.
Yeah.
So now he just needs to get site 2, and then he's back in the game, essentially.
Yeah, and site 2 is where Cody plus Rex would have been way better.
Yeah.
Somewhere else. Like, Cody plus Rex at that... It's bad that Rex missed the shot. But it was going to be bad there no matter what, because without your Trooper Assault, you're losing one of those troopers to the 2 Destiny.
Right. Yeah, and I in all honesty, I bet Dan didn't realize that site allowed him to draw 2, and that's why he...
the site doesn't allow him to draw 2. It's the 2 Death Star Troopers.
Yeah, he probably just didn't realize... Whatever draws him to 2 there, he just didn't know it, and walked right into it. Because he probably was thinking, well, I don't want to go at Barrich, because then I won't get any Destiny draw. But that's a big mistake a lot of players see, is they're like, well, I don't want to go at that guy because Barrich will ruin it. But you need to get Barrich off the table. The best way to kill Barrich is with weapons. and Dan had a deck full of guys with weapons.
Well, yeah, he needed to go with the lightsaber against Barrich because the twin blaster wouldn't have worked. But like, yeah, Barrich is annoying enough if you prioritize keeping him off the table. So Matt has to retrieve him, has to go get him. Like, he can't just count on having him. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So, and Barrich might be the MVP of that deck. Like, he's so good because you can run him in space, too.
Yep.
Like, oh, you want to come at the Devastator? Great. I'm going to put Barrich and a random Biker Scout Trooper up there with Thrawn and Ozzel.
Yep.
And say thanks for playing. I'm fully immune. I'm subtracting 4 or 5 from your power and destiny each time.
Yep. And, I mean, he could even add Target up there if he needed to. And
yeah. Like, space can get...
not go anywhere.
Space can get spicy quick, so...
And all his guys are IAO. Oh, here's something Dan should have actually had somewhere in his deck. It's the scanner text card.
Yeah.
Dan has that.
He might have had that, but he doesn't have a way to go fetch it. Like,
right. Wackling was...
Wackling, but he's not starting Wackling, and you're never floating Wackling.
No.
So...
Well, Chris Kelly floated Wackling once.
Okay, well... You are so rarely floating Wackling that I don't think it's a good... necessarily a great plan.
I did not agree with Chris Kelly's plan of floating Wackling, but I know he did. So,
Yeah, I mean, Wackling's still a really good card.
He looked at it as it's a 2 Destiny 1/0 Force Generation with retrieval and other stuff.
Oh, yeah, no, it's still an amazing card. It's still, it's a card that does 3 things.
Yeah.
So it's still one of the best cards in the game, but floating, it just feels wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and you can play multiple scanner techs too. And they are Destiny 5. So if you're not going to start something to pull it, I would have 2 or 3 of those stupid cards.
Although that also hurts your security control because it stops all forfeit bonuses.
Sure, but you also get to draw cards.
Yeah, and it knocks you. You can still use your superficial damage, and you're not really counting on your clones forfeiting for 4 instead of 3.
Right.
Like, you're fine with them forfeiting for 3 if you're knocking out a rest
2
order.
on there. Yeah, I was going to say, he's getting +2, you're getting +1. I'm happy with that trade.
Yeah.
And I get to draw cards when I battle.
Yeah, more hand fill when you're starting battles and more,
Yeah.
That would have been a good card if Dan had gotten it. I think as we talk through the game, and a lot of this is, especially for people watching, a lot of this is trying to, kind of learn about, like, hey, you watched the game, like, what did you get from it? Like, I think just drawing on that first turn might have been better than dropping Anakin.
Yeah.
And then, second turn you can go Anakin plus Obi and take a site, and then follow up the next turn with split them, back them up with some clones, and all of a sudden now you've got Tatooine and you're doing scary things.
Potentially, yeah.
I mean, if you're not you're threatening to do scary things.
If you really want to drop Anakin turn 1 to get the good blaster damage going, fine, drop him on Tatooine.
Yeah. If you want to drop in turn 1, you go Tatooine because he's completely worthless over there.
Yeah. And odds are, MHT, after his turn 1, he had so much from his opening hand, so he drew a few cards because he had like 2 sights from his opening hand.
Yep, and he had the detention and he had the tentacle.
Yeah, so he was down a few cards already, so he didn't even draw that many because he played Oslo, he shuffled them up, alerted, so he drew like 4 cards, and so I don't think there's enough to beat down Anakin on Tatooine that quickly, especially through superficial anyway, that I'm going to drop Anakin on Tatooine if I really want to get a good blaster damage going.
Yeah, I think he could have played that differently. I definitely think he could have played it much more effectively. And, this is what you get when you're playing 2 new decks against each other. Sometimes you got to figure out, like, what's the play here and where do we go?
And I know you say IE's new. It's got the new effects, but it's
not
still
new.
It's still a similar build to what it was. I mean, it's still troopers. It's still trooper assault. It's got defensive cards like sneak attack. It does not look like MHT was playing barriers, but I would assume Gick is in there.
Yeah.
Still got patrols. I think MHT took a different route with adding a bunch of Destiny 6s with the masterful moves and imps, so he can sneak attack them back and things of that nature. And with him running the masterful move 6, I would assume he has normal Gicks in there to pull. So he's got, lots of
lots
high
of tricks
Destiny and things to do, and then guys that just have good forfeit and do things together.
Yeah.
And it's got a good activation. It activates a little differently now, but I mean the deck still plays a lot of how it played before. You spread out to a lot of sites, do a bunch of damage, and hope that's enough. And if not, they come attack you. You should have plenty of cards at your disposal to defend. So.
Yep, and that's what you can do, and I think that's, playing the clones deck against it, Dan was not ready for figuring out how to...
Well, and Dan told you ahead of time that this is his least favorite deck to play against, and, going in with that negative mindset can sometimes affect the way you play your game, too.
For sure. And, my guess is he went in with a negative mindset. He knows he's playing a top player, and
on the least deck that he wants to see.
This might have just been we'll see what happens, and didn't buckle down to try and pull it out, and it happens. I won't. I'm not going to blame him for that. It's a tough.
No. Well, and he took a line. He took Anakin to turn 1 to Genosis or Christophus. I can't see which one it is. One of those two. Yeah.
Genosis. Yep.
So he goes to Genosis, turn 1, and that he's thinking this is the line he's going to take, and it turns out to be completely wrong. And that happens sometimes. That's why you play games and you figure it out. And, you're like, okay, well, let's not do this next time. Next time I know to do this instead. And, these are things you learn from play testing and playing multiple games and just learning decks inside and out and seeing, okay, this is the line I need to take. Against IE, I can't play my game. I need to go at them. And so I got to do this instead. And you just have to learn that as you play. And so sometimes you choose the wrong line to take in a game. In my game, I had a line I was trying to take where I was trying to get Accelerate to first strike. And I spent 3 turns trying to find it, and it didn't happen. And then I had to adjust the line I was playing because of it.
Yep.
And then... go into
some of that just is it takes time to learn it, and it takes also one of the things, and this was discussed kind of in Slack as a few of the Columbus, Ohio guys with Kendall and I think Travis is going. They're doing sort of boot camp hangout play Star Wars weekend, and what we're doing now is one of the things we talked about there, that you really, if you want to get benefit out of playtesting. And you can get all of the top players in this game are really nice guys. I guarantee if you ask MHT after the game, hey, what could I have done differently? How could I have done this differently? He would have sat and had a conversation hey, maybe you could have done this. Maybe you could have tried to do this. This is how you learn from some of these games as well. Is just it's not just did you win or lose, because you can win or lose based on lots of factors.
Yep.
It's... could you have done it differently? I'd love to see this game replayed with Dan instead just going hard for Tatooine.
Yeah.
Throw down Anakin on turn 1 at one of the Drain 2 sites to threaten damage early. And back him up with Obi-Wan, and then back them up with the troopers and spread out a little bit and really just start forcing MHT to... he does less damage and he has to respond to... Dan instead of setting the tone.
Yeah.
Because right now he was absolutely just setting the tone. Dan was busy responding to MHT instead of the reverse.
Right. And in all honesty, from the period of time from the IE before, back when IE was dumb in 15 different ways, that was what Throne Room did. Throne Room attacked it and put it on its back foot. And that's how Throne Room won that game. If you try to be reactive against what IE's doing, IE's got you right where they want you.
Yeah, I mean, it plays. You're playing against it very similar to how you play against Rheltier Ops.
Yeah.
It's a different character set because they're running trooper weenies instead of, now it's the big Imperials. Right. Or it was, but it's the same idea of you can't win if you leave them alone.
There was also Ral Ops that was trooper beats before too, and
yeah, Ral Ops has a lot of formats and
right.
And we won't talk about that being blanked and
it's the one
what
deck
that's done to the game.
It does force. It's a deck that forces you to interact with it, just like IE does. And if you react to them instead of attack them, you're already too far behind. You're probably not going to win the game.
Yeah.
You need to be aggressive and go in from the start. Now, the new ROPS that was being played with the big guys, that's a way to walk into a defeat by attacking them. But you learn that from starting effects and seeing what they do, because they play differently. They look the same, but they play differently. And so those are reading the game to figure out which way you need to go.
You're still not playing reactive if you're going to Rheltier and just waiting till they deploy so you can eliminate their characters and grind them out that way. Like, you're not playing reactive by doing that. That's still a proactive game plan. What you can't do against them is just set up your space and be like, oh, well, I'll do some damage here and then maybe go interact with you. Like, you have to plan to be interacting with them right from the start.
It's not a bad plan to be reactive in that way if you've planned ahead to do that. Like, if Dan
and your deck is capable.
Right, like, so if the way Dan would have done that this game, so Dan has two options turn one. He can be the aggressor and attack and drop Anakin to Tatooine, like you said, a Drain 2 site, drop Blaster Rifle, and get potential of 3 damage on turn 2 going. Or he can be the reactive portion while still being an aggressor with the reactive by just drawing a few and saving like 4 or 5 force. So now he's got, because he already had Anakin in his hand and he had Obi in his hand. So if he can just save up to be able to drop both of those and force MHT to defend 2 sites, that's going to be harder for MHT to do than to defend 1 site. But you have to proactively think ahead and go, okay, I want to save force to make these 2 attacks that turn instead of I'll just draw up and then, okay, I activate 11, but now I can't make my 2 attacks.
Yeah.
So you need to plan ahead with that reactiveness that you do.
Yeah, it's not necessarily playing proactive versus reactive isn't necessarily just I'm deploying in response to him deploying. It's your entire game plan. You can have a game plan that is proactive that feels reactive initially.
Right.
But it's with a longer term plan in place where it's actually a proactive play. It's just that first turn.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily feel that way, and it is what it is. I think Dan played a new deck against a matchup he doesn't like, against a very good player, and he can play it better next time. So, or he can commentate it on when somebody plays Clones at Worlds and tell us how wrong we were in every way, shape, or form.
Well, he'll never convince me I was wrong that he should have pulled aim high.
That's just now he doesn't get to make fun of Joe for that anymore. And like I said, I think Joe needed that, personal validation.
Yeah, I'm sure Joe will need it. Really, just that was the last thing he needed to complete in his Star Wars career, was getting that vindication for that shield.
Joe might actually retire now. Yeah, he's been vindicated. He's got nothing left to prove. He's proven, that Dan can make the same mistake, and now he can.
He might just retire and become a SWCCG teacher and just teach us all how to play better.
He might. He's probably he's more qualified than you and I are to do that. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's about time. We're going to call it a night here. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Robbie, for joining me and
thanks for having me.
Providing a game, even though it ended up, reverts. That happens with reverts. Sometimes it was sort of maybe this will work, maybe it won't, and
right.
These things happen.
And to be honest, it's better that the game got played the way it needed to be rather than the replay. So
definitely. So, but again, thank you everybody for watching this week's Holotheatre.
And thank you to those watching us in the future on on YouTube.
For sure. We'll be around, and if nothing else, Dan, I'm sure we'll be back next week, and I think he's going to Kendall's boot camp, so hopefully he'll have lots to tell us about how that all went, and
Yep.
it'll be a fun episode.